JSA issue 15, Geoff Johns and David Goyer writing with Steven Sadowski on the art, wrapping up the extant story in his created universe, where the previous cliffhanger, of course, was that they'd just found Dove. And Dove bites it in this issue.
Pretty quickly as well, like in the first 5 or 6 pages.
Yeah, Extant has shown how villainous he is by just incinerating her with his powers, very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, not intentionally. He's aiming for, I think it's Al he's aiming for, or maybe Owlman.
No, that happens first, and she jumps in and she doesn't die from that. He makes the choice to kind of properly kill her after that when she's lying there.
After that, yeah. But I mean, he is shocked at the moment still. It's not an expected thing, and I think she's already dead, and then he incinerates the body. Because there's a moment where there's a panel where it's a silhouette on the hand, hits the floor as she's giving her last line of dialogue. It feels like, that's the dying breath moment. Maybe right. I was reading that wrong.
No, you're right. The hand does drop down. Yeah.
And then it feels like he's the reason once she's gone, he leans into it.
The reason why I didn't quite read it that way, I think, on this page, is because the speech he makes, it sounds like he's sort of proving that he's truly extant. There's nothing of Hawk left. And it's almost like by doing the final killing blow is him proving to himself and everyone else that there's no going back.
I think I agree with exactly what you're saying, and I think that is what's happening. But instead of the killing blow, he just incinerates the body to prove he has no attachment. He doesn't care. But it is the exact same purpose as what you read it as, just just the body instead of the killing blow.
Yeah, just the minor detail. Yeah. There's a little interesting bit of narration at the start and end of this that I think we should talk about, which is Al's future wife, who's clearly here. Who were you reading this as?
These things here. It's Courtney, right?
That's how I was reading it, but now I've not read the rest of John's. I've read the first 50 issues or so of this run before. Is this something that actually a pathway you go down where Al and Courtney are a thing?
I think they might play with it at some point. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while.
Because I was reading this and I'm like, but wait a minute. She's a teenager and he's whatever age he is.
Yeah, but I mean, the very second narration box in the issue is I spent years battling as the Star Spangled Kid.
It's a sort of thing where I didn't it was kind of this weird thought process as it was sort of revealing the parts of the information to me. And I just couldn't wrap my head around the idea of Courtney and Al becoming a married couple. It was kind of weird. It took me off guard.
Yeah, no, I get that.
It was very odd. Because I wasn't convinced at first that... I mean, I know she's writing in a journal, so it's kind of implied that it is her that's talking. But I wasn't necessarily sure at first that the person talking and narrating was the person in the panels. It's the sort of thing where they could sort of subvert that by the end and reveal the person who's actually talking is... I thought maybe... Because the other Star Spangled Kid's been around in this issue, and he in this arc, and he does disappear by the end of the issue. I thought it might turn out to be him that's talking.
Like an alternate future sort of thing.
At a certain point. The idea being that this is him from after he's erased, kind of talking about the world that he's leaving behind now that he's been erased again because everything's getting fixed or something. I don't know. Anyway, obviously,
I get where it come from.
Clearly, I overthought all of this, and it was just this is weird. I don't get it.
It is just a. I mean, John's has apparently always done this, and still, to this day does, where he'll just set up an idea, throw it out there. Maybe he'll come back to it. Maybe he won't.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many abandoned John's plot ideas.
His biggest fault, I'd say, maybe, as a writer.
Yeah, I mean, there are entire cowgirl from his Green Lantern run just vanishes after 15 issues or so. Just gone.
Yeah.
There are still stories to this day that he's like, no, they're coming at some point, and probably never see them. But
oh yeah, there's going to be a book just called Johnsy's Last DC Universe comic, and it's just going to be a story about Cowgirl, the war, the Atlantis War thing that they never get around to.
What I'm expecting is, you know how what Christopher Tolkien did with his father's works, where he's like, unfinished things, just bits of notes and stuff, and kind of and all credit to him, he did a wonderful job of taking these 3/4 finished things and kind of turning them into a finished product, adding to them himself. One day, a John's kid just be like, Yeah, I found all these notes.
The first issue is going to be Cowgirl turning up late to Alan and Courtney's wedding, and it's just going to be all the things that John's kind of set up for the future and left behind. But anyway, so the whole thing, Our Man essentially distributes his power between everyone, so they all have 4 minutes of extra juice, as it were, and they all attack extant simultaneously. Apparently
at
across
different points in the timeline.
Yeah. So they all attack him, and they win. It's actually quite straightforward, honestly.
It is. Actually, I do really like the art in this page, or pages where they're attacking. Where it's just a panel of each of them doing their thing. I think it's a really well laid out couple of pages. Looks really nice.
It's all right. I think this like, I really like the other side of this arc where it was like the Cobra stuff, right? I really like that. This side of it with the time ship and going after Extant, I like parts of it, and I kind of like some of the characters and stuff that it's playing with, but I don't like it in terms of all the arcs we've had in this book so far. It's one of maybe the weaker ones for me. Just
I think that might be fair. Yeah. I think it lands really solidly, and I think it's still fun and really readable. But it's definitely missing some of the weight.
The end of the issue is probably the best part, but essentially, it does go back to the plane going down. Al essentially makes a deal with Metron to swap out Extant with his mother, so that Extant dies in the plane crash, and using the Whirligog to pull this off.
Yeah.
How can we not mention the Whirligog yet? The Whirligog. They've mentioned using the Whirligog. So Al picks his mother out of the plane, puts Extant in there, and she's like, "What's happening? I was on a plane," and he just kind of has to hug her and say, "Just it's okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Don't worry."
And just remember, this is still just a matter of days from his perspective. Since this happened, so this grief was still very fresh. So this is still like means a lot to him right now.
But Our Man feels bad for his failings and resigns from the Justice Society, and then others kind of follow. Starman decides to leave. Hippolyta leaves. Dr. Fate leaves for now. He wants to go look for his wife. So, and it sort of leaves us with who our current team's going to be going forward for now. Although there's definitely others who are going to join from just memory, but like we're left with, because some of these ones do feel, because I always remembered that Starman and Hippolyta did not stick around for long at the start of this run. So I was kind of
Fate definitely pops in and out, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I was kind of waiting for this kind of moment to happen where it kind of whittled down to the core members, and because it's kind of thing where Mr. Terrific and Midnighter, we I say Midnighter, Dr. Midnight. It's because he's the old one's Charles Midnighter. All the words that are so similar all blend together in my head. But yes, Dr. Midnight and Mr. Terrific, them, like, I always remembered being core members of the team, but obviously they weren't there to actually to begin with. So them coming in like partway through this first couple of arcs was something I was waiting on as well. So it kind of feels like we're getting to the point. Okay, this is kind of the JSA that I think of. Jakeem's not there yet. I'm still waiting on Jakeem because I remember him being a big
I don't think that's a little bit yet. I don't think he's straight away.
It may be a little bit, but I remember a lot of good Jakeem stuff when he does pop up.
Yeah. I think it's. I don't think we'll talk about it too much in the future in terms of the trades, because after a while we'll both end up shifting to DC Universe, I'm sure. But I think this is a really neat place to leave it as a. This is the end of the first trade of the recently published volumes.
Yeah, it ends with
a real nice way to leave it. With just this is the team going forward for now.
It also ends with a speech with Courtney putting a flower at the statue of the members who have left. Or passed away, more specifically. The original Our Man, the original Midnighter. Sorry, you know what I mean, Dr. Midnight. It's going to take a while. It's because we had a Midnighter story this week in that Superman anthology.
Starting you off. Yeah.
It's fresh in my head. And the original Atom, of course, has been the other one.
Yes, of course.
So it ends in this sort of, again, looking back to those who have fallen, but the legacy of going forward. All this stuff that we love about JSA doing its thing. So I don't have a whole lot to say about the issue itself. I mean, the action is fine, but it's actually a lot more straightforward than I think I'd have expected, based on, I don't know, just how some of these plots tend to go. Because, for example, I think the stuff from the other half, before the team went into the time ship with Metron, that stuff, I thought the way they dealt with the sand and Sand looking like he died, and there was a lot of really intricate parts of that plan that were really interesting, and sort of as they were revealing it were really like, oh, this is cool, and they really thought about this and there's stuff. Whereas this is just kind of became like, okay, everyone's just for a minute. go punch and kick.
Pretty much everyone got one panel to fight, and I thought, like, you know, like I said, I like the layout of those pages because they were off angles with the diagonal panels for the first 2 pages. Then you had a double page spread with them all kind of just being, you know, at whatever angle, you know, but they were all over the place for that. But it gave a nice sense of the fragmentation. You know, they've all been at different points in time. But you know, and all of them got, you know, one good action panel, so to speak.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it for what it was.
it was probably the best issue of this part of the arc, which was the Metron / extant stuff. But I remember just in the last couple of reviews, like feeling a little more lukewarm in this arc than the previous stuff, which was very, very, very good. Because the stuff with the plane going down and the fallout from that was some of the best stuff the book had done. Along with obviously Wildcats issue,
Still remains the best issue so far.
Yes, the infamous issue with the toothpick at the end. It's good though. I'm looking forward to getting to the next arc though and going out of different stuff. What are you giving JSA issue 15?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a 7, I think.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7. I think I'd probably go a little bit lower, but I do think the last like 3 or 4 pages kind of upswings it.
They are really good.
A little bit. So, with a sentiment.